Hi everybody, welcome to Arts Innovation Psykograpyx, Thinking Redesigned. I picked this picture because I've been told I think outside the box, and I thought that this guy really does, and it's a perfect example. It looks like an alien thing that was plopped down there. I took this picture shortly after it was built about 16 years ago, and there was a herd of people there, and it was very fascinating to me. And again, it's one of those out of place artifacts, an oop art. If someone came and tried to figure out why in the world this thing was sitting in the middle of what you see reflected in it, you'd go, where did this thing come from? So I got a big kick out of that, and it's a perfect example of what we think about when we think thinking redesigned. I'll tell you another little story that happened while I was there. Is I saw this little girl there on her dad's shoulders inside. This is underneath a bean. I knew this little girl for about 10 seconds. I was under there taking pictures. I saw her coming toward me, and I turned and took this picture with my very first digital camera. It was less than 2 megapixels. And I had to wait for about 5 or 6 seconds for her to come into view, and I snapped this picture just before she walked by me, and I never saw her again. I have no idea who she was, but the expression on her face just says everything, and I wanted to put this in this particular presentation because she's not old enough to read and write, and it's what she's thinking is pretty obvious on her face. It's just sheer joy at her view of the art and probably finding herself up there above her. So literally it got me thinking about what is it we lose when we grow up and start thinking the way we're supposed to think in terms of correct thinking. So let's take a look at the other issues in this area, which is the mind and manipulation and the alienation. How it is we learn to think, what it is we think about, how we learn to think, how we use the medium of reading to help us think, and how that might alienate certain of us, especially those of us who grew up being artists. And really, I hated school from the first day of kindergarten, and it was a long 13 years. And I am amazed that I became a teacher, but I primarily did that to teach art because the way that I teach it is different than I was taught, and it actually can be taught to very young children. So that's why I went ahead and decided to do this section on psychographics. And I'll tell you a little bit about how I've constructed this based on the way that I've learned to think. And that's with a thing called semiotics. Semiotics says that the mind works in threes. It doesn't make sense of just two things. It needs a third thing called an interpretant um, uh, to deal with what's actually going on. That's why quite often we get into environments that we can't make sense of because we don't have any frame of reference. And that's what's called a reference. You have to have a frame of reference. You have to have some kind of a sign, whether it's visual or auditory, that actually lends meaning to it. And then you have to have some other kind of a sign that interprets between the two. So, since everything works on threes, what I've done is I've established this whole structure based on threes. That's why I've done 6 different subjects, and each subject has 3 different things, because they really don't look like they are connected necessarily, but when you link them together, you can see the connections. In fact, everything that's here can be linked in different ways. All of the 18 subjects can be linked to one or more of the others. And then next we'll take a look at the characters who do this. In terms of thinking, we look into history again, and we look at the philosophers. I've created Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, and Zeno, which are all based on cartoons of famous ancient philosophers. I get a big kick out of that because it allows you to add humor to some of the serious things that they were trying to deal with. Then another group of characters I've done are, of course, alien beings. We've got the Arthrobots that can visit this subject, but I've also got a bunch of aliens that I did, again, based on behavioral disordered youth. I was one. I've worked with them in various locations. I actually get along with them pretty good because I understand what their issues are. And I have a lot of fun doing aliens. I tried to do them for various clients and they hated them. They didn't want me to use them, so I have drawn a whole bunch of aliens that were rejected, and now I'm using them myself. So again, I would suggest that whatever you draw, don't throw them away. Keep them for yourself. You might find a way to use them later on. And then, of course, the other group here um, is based on the idea that we live in Mentally Illinois. And I constructed this kind of background thing from various different illustrations. I actually built a pyramid in 3D and then textured it and stuck it in Chicago. I found a picture of the Eiffel Tower and stuck it in the middle of Chicago. So this is kind of fun. I call it Mentally Illinois. I actually worked for 2 different mental health facilities, so a lot of stuff can be drawn from personal experience here. And again, this is Dr. Skunkle here, who was the school psychologist. And when I was leaving, I told everybody I was going to draw caricatures of them, and that they could either leave it up to me to make up a character, or they could tell me what character they would like to be. And he told me he would like to be a skunk. And it's based on his true experiences, and he gave me all the reasons why. Again, I delve into all of this stuff in some of my other books, but I thought it was a great opportunity for me to add another old friend to my cartoons in the way that he actually wanted to be perceived. So again, I urge you to look around you and symbolize your real life with the real people that you care about, and turn them into something that can last and be used to help other people in their various situations, especially if they're not acclimated to the arts. It gives you a chance to spread the joy. Okay, thanks for listening. See you next time.